Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this does not work without you guys. Okay, so it is now official. Wait, hold on. Let's get open for business. Let's wake up the football guys. It is official as of today that the NFL playoffs will now add two teams, one from each conference. And now there will only be a bye week for one team. That actually changes the dynamics of stuff. That means some teams are going to actually have to play a little bit longer to make sure that they get that bye week if that's what they really want to have and really want to need. So that definitely changes the dynamics. A lot of y'all will probably say, well, damn, we should have had that before. Maybe we would have had some other playoff years. Well, the reality is actually it wouldn't have changed anything for us. We would have never been that bubble team as it stands looking at it from this standpoint. But, it's going to be more action because that means there'll be 3 playoff games on Saturday, 3 playoff games on Sunday. And the NFL says right now they're not planning on any changes to the 16-game schedule. So we'll see if that happens. This whole situation has been very, very fluid. It's kind of funny. My buddy Greg, he owes me one, and not the good kind of owes me one. I was sitting here, I've been trying to give you guys some tips, okay? I don't know where you are, but where I am, basically the hunker down, stay at home thing in our state at least, they're talking about not just April, talking about April, May to June 10th. And they're saying that for our area that we've got a slow increase because we have been hunkering down. We've got a very slow, gradual increase. They're not thinking the peak for us is going to be until sometime in May, which is good that it's a slow increase. It's not ramping up real quick where it's overwhelming. It's a steady thing. But until you hit that peak and start leveling off and going down, you still have to worry. So we're going to be here for a couple of months like this. Unless they come up with some cure or vaccine or something or other, but, it's got to run its course. And so I've been trying to give you guys some tips and things to help get along in things. And I was saying that, in the last video, while I was in my workshop, that you should try and do some things, that honey-do list. You should be proactive as opposed to reactive. Because let's be honest, if you're around somebody 24 hours a day, I don't care how much you love them. I love my wife to death. And I'll probably be the one that kills her. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. Don't take that serious. But seriously, you get cabin fever. You can get on each other's nerves. So my suggestion is, that honey-do list, help out at the house. Don't go crazy now. I'm not saying buy a new side and reside the house. I'm saying, just get the broom and sweep up the floor. Maybe there's that room that, she's wanted to paint. Paint that room. But take your time. Don't rush. Paint a wall a day. Paint a wall, spread it out. So that way you get the full effect. Make sure, I got to recaulk the molding. I need to caulk the molding, make sure that's right before I pull out the paint. I need to wipe off the dust. That's going to take another day. You know what I mean? And so he was hearing this or watching the video, and his wife walked by, and she goes, "Oh, that's a great idea." So she gave him a long honey-do list. It's so long he can use it for old toilet tissue. That's what he told me. I'm serious. That's what he told me. But anyway, as we stand right now, there's not a lot going on. We got the draft in 3 weeks and 2 days. We've had free agency, and there's no other sports. And so, for me, it's actually kind of funny because, being a YouTuber, ESPN and these things always look down on YouTubers. We can't get media passes because they don't deem you as real entertainment or sports coverage or journalists. But it's so funny to see now all of the ESPNs and things like that try to broadcast now from their homes. And some of them aren't quite ready for it. Some of them need to clean up their house a little bit. Some of them need some technology skills because they don't quite get it right. But anyway, when there's not much to talk about, when you are looking and trying to figure out what are we going to do this show about, the old standby, of course, is let's talk about Dak Prescott. Let's talk about Dak. And some people are trying to use Dak to make a name for themselves, like Dan Orlovsky, like that jackass. That jackass, like he has any knowledge. Listen, if it's Joe Montana, and he says, you know what, Dak Prescott stinks. Dak Prescott needs to be replaced. Jerry Jones needs to think twice before signing. If Roger Staubach said that Dak Prescott was no good and that the Cowboys should get rid of him, I'd listen to that guy. Dan Orlovsky? Mr. I ran out of the back of the end zone and gave myself a safety? That guy? Come on. So that was him yesterday. And of course, everybody, man, did you hear Dan Orlovsky? And they're sending me the links. See, what we have to understand is it's no longer about reporting the news. It's about getting you to click. Be that you're pissed off and can't believe the outrageous crap that they say, or that you hate the Dallas Cowboys and you want to laugh at the crazy, outrageous things they have to say. Either way, it's a win-win. And what they do is they look at Stephen A. Smith and say, that guy's getting $10 million a year for being a Dallas Cowboy hater. I'd like to get some of that, please. So, my man Greg, Emily Ann, and some other people, they was like, oh my God, can you believe what this jackbag said? Jabba the Hutt. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to play a little taste of it, okay? And, because now he's achieved what he wanted. We are talking about it. But Emily is like, you got to say something about it. I said, okay, all right, let's go through it. Let's listen. Hopefully I'm not too loud.
Analogy I want to use. You guys know I love to make relationship analogies. And studies show that 30% of marriages, or 30% of people's college relationships lead to marriage, and that's because people tend to marry the last person they dated in college. This is particularly true in the good old Midwest. It's particularly true in the Midwest and South. People used to go to Ball State. We used to say as guys, a lot of girls would go to Ball State looking for their MRS degree. That was more popular than a PhD. And look, it makes sense for a man or a woman to be looking for their spouse on a college campus. The people are bright, they're motivated, they come from relatively good families. It makes sense to go after your spouse on a college campus. But is it really the smartest thing to do long term?
That wasn't me. That was him hitting the microphone.
I see a lot of
people. He was
people,
hitting his. I didn't hit mine.
And that's what I'm worried about here with Dak Prescott.
You're worried about Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones?
I'm concerned that Jerry Jones is about to make the mistake I've seen a lot of people make in college. Dak Prescott, he spent 4 years on the Cowboys campus. He's now ready to graduate and get his diploma. And Jerry and Dak are looking at each other. It's like, man, we've been together for 4 years. And it's time to graduate and move on to the next step in our life.
What the hell is he talking about?
Let's get married. Let's get married long term. But according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Jerry Jones wants a complicated prenuptial agreement before he's willing to say I do. There's a disagreement about guaranteed money and the length of the contract. That's where the deadlock is. And that, to me, is Jerry Jones saying, I want a prenup. And if you want a prenup, that means you shouldn't be getting married. You shouldn't be settling for this quarterback that you're really not that confident in long term. That's why you're arguing about guaranteed money and the length of the contract. I say Jerry should prolong the engagement. Give Dak another year of the runaround and see if he's really the person You want to marry and spend your whole quarterback. Look, these are Jerry's golden years. He's been on this Cowboys campus forever. All of his friends are saying, oh, Jerry, you need to settle down. Just get with Dak. He's the right one. You're not going to do any better. Jerry, listen to me. Don't settle. Put the franchise tag on him. Make him dance for another year. Make him earn that long-term contract. Marcellus?
Ugh. Jabba the Hutt. Okay. All right. There's so much in there. Bullshit! Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. It's funny because the difference on the contract is actually Dak wants a shorter one. It's not about being 50 years married like this guy says. It's actually like Dak wants to do the Kirk Cousins route, which is I get 3 years or 4 years. I can renegotiate and as the market goes up. Because it's kind of funny how Dak is the only one out there. Because Kirk Cousins literally fleeced Minnesota. He got $88 million guaranteed, and after 2 years, still getting that other $30 million that's guaranteed. That's what his cap number was this year. $30 million guaranteed from his contract. They put another $66 million on top of it. And we're not, and I don't mean to throw shade at Kirk Cousins, but in Kirk Cousins' career, he's 44, 42, and 2. In his career, even with Minnesota, first year he was 8-7-1. Second year, 10-5, which last year was truly his best year. Other than that, Washington, his only other good year was a 9-7. It's funny how they didn't say that Minnesota shouldn't have a long-term relationship with Kirk Cousins, did they? Kirk Cousins has only beat Dak Prescott 1 out of 7 times, if you want to say that it's quarterback versus quarterback. But here's what you got to understand. It's all about getting some ratings. Did anybody give a rat's ass about anything else that Jason Whitlock and that show had to say today? Did anybody actually watch that show? Or were you like me that somebody shared that with you because they were pissed off? I can guarantee you. You know how long is that show? An hour or is it 2 hours? Do you know?
I don't watch the show.
I mean, I don't even know how long the show is, but I can guarantee you that there's not anything. There's nothing else on that show that anybody else is talking about. So when there's no news to talk about, pull up Dak Prescott. That's the go-to when there's a lack of news. One final thing here, I'm going to say. The one thing Jerry Jones likes is he likes the circus. He likes a big splash. Is it possible that Jerry is holding out till they can have a big signing for Dak Prescott? That, when and it may be when the corona's, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but could it be that Jerry Jones wants to have that big announcement and have everybody around as opposed to just saying we signed Dak Prescott? I mean, because if you're talking about paying somebody $35 million a year, you want everybody to see him signing the check. You know what I'm saying? And that might be part of this whole thing that they're trying to figure out how they can do this to make that big splash. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Please, 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 please stay in. I just read the most saddest, beautiful thing I've ever read. And it really hit home for me when you think about all the things. A lot of people don't they think, oh, it's just a cold. I get it. I'll be fine. But hearing and reading what Michelle has gone through in the course of the last couple of weeks and losing her father, and her father dying alone, literally. When she said, I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, I'm alone. He said, I've got people here, they look like they're dressed up in spacesuits, that brought me the phone. For him to die alone and them not to be able to have a funeral makes you realize how real this is. And this is where you can be part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. And that is by helping to make sure this does not get spread to one more person than it needs to. Please, I implore you, keep your ass at home. And I think tomorrow, a day early, we get in our shot glasses. Keep your ass at home shot glasses. It said on the thing, delivery April 1st. Although it might be April Fools. That's what they did. It's April Fools. But anyway, I'm going to go back out here and do a little bit more on my workshop, and I'll see you guys later.